All right. Hello. Welcome to the Buzzy podcast. I'm J. Scott Ridgel, the owner of Buzzy's Country Store, and my first interviewee guest is Chief Larry Eberhard. Larry and I have something in common. We both have lived in this space above here. Of course, my bedroom was here, and now yours is out there.
Right here.
This is the kitchen. I can hear you up there walking around sometimes. But Larry is the first guest interviewee, and for a couple reasons. Number one, he's the architect of all this. These are his speakers, his mics. He's the brains behind this outfit, so I thought it would be right, apropos, to have Larry as our number one.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, okay, I know the answer to this first question, but how did you end up here at Buzzy? Larry's also the longest living tenured person here at Buzzy's.
So far.
So far, right?
33 years.
33. And that was 92?
Yeah, I got here in April of 92. And so I'll go ahead and tell you the story. So I'm going to start out with my military career, and I can do it really quick, and then I'll tell you how I got here.
Sure.
So in 1972, I went in the Army, 29 days after I turned 17. I did 5 years in the Army, and I got out. I was stationed at Fort Bragg for that last couple of years. I got out, went out to California, was out there, did a couple different things for a couple of years, decided I wanted to go back in the military. So I went down to the recruiter's office, was planning on going right back into the Army. Of course, like the salesman they are, the Navy recruiter was there and told me the Army recruiter was out to lunch, didn't know if he was coming back. So why don't I take the test for the Navy? So I took the ASVAB. I ended up going in the Navy, and I had a lot of good duty stations, but mainly I was at Norfolk and helicopters. Then from there, I went out to California, learned the H-60, came back, was down at Mayport in helicopters, made chief in 88, and got stationed on the Forrestal after I made chief. And then I was over in Spain, and the detailers, those are the guys that give you your next assignments, came over and met with me and said, where do you want to go? And I said, well, this next one's going to be my last duty station. It's going to be shore duty, and I don't care where you send me. So they sent me to Pax River.
Uh-huh.
So in April of 92, I drove up from Florida up here, checked in on the base, didn't check into my command yet. And the first newspaper I ran across was St. Mary's Today, which was something in itself. That's another whole podcast. And so Buzzy had put an ad in there, and I think you told me he didn't normally put ads in there.
Didn't have to, so
yeah,
that was unusual when you told me that you answered an ad.
Yeah, so yeah. And so I called him up, asked him exactly where he was. He gave me directions. I show up in my little Audi, which is about 3.5 feet tall at the roof, and the first thing I see coming out to greet me is Bruno. And we said it was Bruno number 4.
Bruno number 4 must have been.
And I didn't know how nice Bruno was, but I almost didn't get out of the car. I almost didn't come inside and get an apartment. So thank Bruno for being such a good dog. Yeah. So I came in. Buzzy took me upstairs, showed me an apartment. I said, yeah, I'll take it. And so
now it was furnished.
It was furnished. Didn't have any sheets or anything like that in it, but it had all the furniture in it.
Right. So you can move right in.
Yeah. And so I actually did. I came downstairs, and I realized this is the place I want to be. Buzzy said, hey, everyone, meet my new tenant. He's a chief in the Navy, and his name's Larry Eberhard. And he was having a hard time saying Eberhard, and they kind of all were, right? And somebody, I think it was Carol Norris, said, well, we're just going to call you Chief Larry. And it stuck. For 33 years, I've been called Chief Larry.
Well, you were a chief, right?
I was a chief.
So
yeah.
it was
Yeah, but they couldn't say my last name. That's how I got that nickname. So that's how I ended up here 33 years.
Well, and I told you my second question is how did you last 33 years up here and all the
it's been a journey. You once asked me was I ever part of the federal witness protection plan. I said only after being here for 33 years.
Well, when I would fall asleep up here, and I'd hear them down here, all the stories and all the gossip and everything, and I'd go to sleep to that, and then in the morning I'd wake up to it. So I know kind of what, but didn't you tell me one time you had a good set of headphones?
I did. I went out and bought some headphones that knock out all the noise. I didn't listen to music. I just listened to silence so I could go to sleep at night.
Now, I have tried to close at 9. Whereas Buzzy would stay till the last quarter was spent. He'd stay
Yeah.
till midnight or
Yeah,
11,
yeah.
10, 11, 12 o'clock.
Back in those days, I still drank, so I was right down here with
Well,
them.
you were
probably.
with them,
Yeah.
right. You were part of the party.
Yeah.
Well, then, too, you know, in the fire of 83, he had to put the ceiling in, which sort of muted things a little bit here. But out there, where your bedroom is, that's the floor is the ceiling.
Right.
So you're getting it full force.
Yeah, yeah. And remember, you came in and you put hardwood floors in upstairs. And so I had carpet before. So that kind of brought the
noise even more.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
even think of that. Well, we
Yeah.
can go back. We can go back to
No,
carpet.
no, I like the hardwood floors.
So you got out in 95,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Retired,
Retired in 95.
right? And took 2 years off.
I took 6 years off total. What I did is when I retired from the Navy, I said, you know, a lot of people are going to work for contractors. I said, I don't need to do that. And I said, all I'm going to do is drink beer and fish every day. And so after about 4 years or so, I realized I was becoming the town drunk, and somebody told me I smelled like fish. So I said, I need to go back to work. So I gave up fishing and drinking and started looking for work. And that's how that rolled. And long story short, I ended up getting picked up by the county, and I went to work as the addressing tech for the county.
Now it's called planning and zoning. back
Planning and
then,
zoning
right?
at the time.
Before now it's Lugum or whatever the heck
Yeah,
it is.
yeah, yeah.
And you said Jeff Jackman was
Him and Paul Weibel did my
yes.
interview,
Yes.
and it went pretty smooth. I mean, I kind of I took to it pretty easy. I realized how to do the addressing and all that.
Well,
and
this was the when they made everybody get their own address, right?
everybody
Part
got
of
their own
the-
911 address because the county
911
didn't have it yet.
And so that was you did that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hey, I do remember this though. They had started just before, and so I remember when Buzzy's got its address. We used to be Box 59 RT5 was our address, and it became 12665 Point Lookout Road. And I remember even saying to Buzzy, I can't fit that on an envelope. And but that's what I was doing. I was assigning those addresses.
So did you assign 12665?
No, somebody did that before me.
Okay.
But yeah, I did that. I did all the road names for the county, and
Bobby's Way.
Bobby's Way. I helped her out with that one. Yeah.
On Trap Road. Every time I go by there, I think of you and Bobby.
Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, it was pretty cool. And then that in 2010 is when Bill Hunt got to the county. He was the deputy director, and him and I were the ones that started doing the live broadcasts from the county. That was back in 2010, and I was still doing the addressing then, so I had the time to do it, and it worked out good. We would record, we would do the broadcast live, and we would record some segments during the week prior to that. So we had like Hannah Pinkerton was doing pet FAQ. We had critical area questions of the week, all that kind of stuff, and things about the county, the War of 1812, all those were big things back then.
Yeah.
And so we did all that. The county website was going through changes, so we would tell people how to find stuff on the county website, and it was
that
pretty
was right
cool.
up your line.
Yeah, but I do remember, I hope this goes much better, because our very first broadcast, my mom and dad were watching us live, and for the first 5 minutes, I forgot to turn on the sound. And so they were just watching us talk, but they couldn't hear anything. And
You got it on here, right?
hopefully we got it on here. We're recording this live, but we're going to post it today. So, yeah.
So then you went from address to enforcement.
Yeah, there was an opening over there for a code inspector. So I went ahead and applied for that. And that's how I hooked up with Brandy. She was also an inspector over there. And we kind of like teamed up. She was my partner. And I tell you this all the time. She's probably one of the smartest people I know. And I think right now she's like...
well, she's still there, right?
She's still there.
Is she
And
the boss?
she's moved up. She's like in charge of... I think she's in charge of permits and code enforcement, that whole department. Because they have two departments within that department, or two divisions within that department. And she's in charge of one, and then I think Courtney is in charge of the admin side and the planning side.
Gotcha.
So, but the way it's set up now, I think she would have been Harry Knight's boss.
Oh.
Yeah. So, but very proud of her. She started at the very bottom and worked her way up, and it's all from up here. So she's very, very smart.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Did they come to your retirement at the Legion?
No, that was from when I retired.
Oh, that
out of
was the Navy.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
getting my stories mixed up here.
yeah.
We didn't talk about that as far as Bart being the MC.
Yeah, Bart
and
was
it's
one of the first
still
people I met here.
the first and last and only retirement ceremony. That's
That I
hard
know
to
of.
believe.
I know it was the first one they had.
Back then.
Yeah, because I wasn't going to have a retirement ceremony. I was just going to do the thing where you go in the
out the
office,
door,
sign the
yeah.
paperwork. But enough people came up to me and said that they had never seen one. So I said, well, we'll do one at the Legion. So I pitched it to NAMO, and they said, sure. I said, I'll have Commander Childress be, because he was an old helicopter pilot. Said I have him do my actual official stuff and get Bart to be the MC. And so it worked out great.
I remember Aline.
Yeah, everybody was there. And so I heard afterwards, I know this is probably true, mine was the only retirement ceremony where people were getting served drinks on the way into the retirement.
Right. Like I say, open bar. Nothing like open bar. Okay, so you retired from the county, and this was just a couple years ago.
Yeah, in
right?
June of 2023. So at the end of this month will be my 2-year anniversary.
All right. Well, we'll have to
Do something.
celebrate that.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, now I want to take this opportunity to thank you for helping me. You know, when I took over in 07, I was burning the candle at both ends. I was hanging out down here till 10, 11 o'clock at night, going into work. I was still working, and you came up and said, "Hey, I'll do Wednesdays."
Yeah, I don't
and
remember what the
Fridays."
days were. Yeah.
You said, "I'll do 2 nights. You go ahead and go on home." And I went, "Man, thank God for that." And then Terry came along, and Terry said, I can help out. So she did Tuesday and Thursdays.
Yeah.
And, you know, I really look back. I go, man, I wouldn't have made it.
Yeah. That was a good time, though. And, you know.
Well, Dad was still here.
Yeah,
so
and the tenants all knew what was going on. I mean, not the tenants, but the customers all knew what's going on. Buzzy's gang.
Yep.
And so they understood what was going on, and everybody kind of pitched in.
Everybody did. It was a kind of a fun time, but I look back and I go, man, that was 07. I remarried, bought the store, and retired. That was quite the year.
You were a little busy.
Well, remember you started the blog for me.
Yep.
The blog, you know, and that's another reason the podcast was timely, because I kept seeing are you still doing a blog? You know, your grandfather's blog. And I went, yeah, I guess I could move up to Instagram or whatever, Twitter or X or Facebook even. But so thank you for doing the podcast here.
Yeah, well, Jay, you know, one of the things I took up doing is the cinematography. And so I do people's life stories, and then I give those to the family when we finish filming
Well, the
it.
Dictator one was,
Yeah.
I still think that
I really enjoyed doing that.
Yes, that was great.
Yeah.
That was great.
So this kind of falls in line. I kind of have all the gear.
Yeah.
And so just had to reorganize things, because this is a lot lighter, a lot easier to do than the documentary stuff. You know, I remember I got that whole van full of gear out there that I take with me, and got to set all that up. But this is much, much easier. Got a couple of little backpacks, and we're good to go.
Yeah. You've got it going.
Yeah. So
Well, thank you.
glad to do it.
Is that a wrap? How do you say?
Well, yeah, you still were going to go through a couple things, right?
Oh, yeah, okay. Upcoming events. What the heck is it? It's the
Show
Vietnam
notes.
Vets Poker Run is this Saturday. Or no, next Saturday, the 14th. I think it's the 14th. Well, we might cut that.
Okay, all right.
I'll put that on the blog. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I've got it.
So let's just put it in.
14 June. It's the Vietnam Legacy Vets, and Buzzys is the 4th stop, which will be about between 2 and 4, and then they finish up at the Hole in the Wall. So if you want to see a bunch of motorcycles, and hopefully it's a nice day, and that's Flag Day, the 14th, so probably should do something. We'll definitely have motorcycles, so come on down.
All right.
How's that?
Yep. Are we done?
We're done.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Yes.